and thanks for joining me for this month's Thinking Outside of the Box project, which of course is flip top boxes. So we are going to start off with a piece of cardstock that measures 19.3 by 29 centimetres. Now 19.3 probably seems a bit of an odd measurement, but it will give you enough room once the box is made to perfectly fit our little note cards and envelopes in, and it needs to be just that little fraction bigger to fit the full-size envelope in. So that's why the 19.3 wide. So the first step that we're going to do is to score on our short side at 3 centimetres. Now you could of course use your Simply Scored if you wanted to. I'm just using my trimmer today for space. It fits a little better under the camera for you to see. So we've done 3 centimetres on this side, and now we're going to turn it around and do exactly the same on the other side. So now we're going to come to scoring our long side. So we're going to do our first score at 3 centimetres. Sorry, actually you're going to make your first score at 4 centimetres. Getting ahead of myself here. So the first one at 4 centimetres. The next one at 7 centimetres. And then it's 16.5 centimetres. And on your paper trimmer, the 16.5 is actually this little half mark right in the centre here once you've extended your measuring arm out the side. So 16.5. And then 19.5. Like so. And then that is all of our scoring done for this project. I'll just pop this out the way. So the next step is then to use your paper snips to cut in on these little tabs here that you have already created with your scoring. So just up to the dissecting line, and then I like to cut in a little as well because it just gives me a nice clean finish. And you're going to do the same at this score here. And then the same again on the other side here as well. Exactly the same thing again. And final 2 on this one here. Like so. And then you're going to go along and fold along all of your score lines, and just use your bone folder to fold along all of those so that you get those nice crisp folds. And on the other side as well. And then we are ready to assemble our box. Now at this stage, once you've done your score folding, you can, if you wish to, choose to put your designer series paper on here if you're going to decorate your box with designer series paper, or you can add it on once you've finished assembling the box. That's entirely up to you. I prefer to add my designer series paper now because it's a little easier to adhere to the flat cardstock rather than once it's assembled. So if you choose to go that way, then you will end up with something that looks a little like this. Now this little one here you'll see is empty of designer series paper. You could of course cover it if you want to, but it is actually the bottom of the box once the box is assembled. So I personally don't put designer series paper there, but of course you could if you wanted to. So you're going to apply your adhesive just on the tabs like I've shown here, and then it's just a case of assembling it. So I'm going to start with the first tabs down the bottom here, and I'm just going to fold these ones. Actually, I'm not going to do that one yet. I'm going to fold the center one in here, and the same on the other side here. Just lining it up with the bottom so that it's nice and square. And now I can fold these ones over on the side, and you'll see that my adhesive is already there. And I'm just using a tear and tape. You could of course use fast fuse if you prefer to use that. That's an excellent adhesive for doing construction work as well. Like so, and the same on the other side. Lining it up nice and square. So we've already got the main form of our box, and now we can go ahead and adhere our box together as well. And the same thing again, we're just going to line it up square like so, and the same on the other side. So now we've got our lid that can bend open for putting our projects, our cards and envelopes or whatever you're putting in your box in. And then it will flap closed over the front of the box like so. And you just have these flaps sitting here. Now you will have noticed on mine that I've got a special closure around the front. So I'm just going to show you how to do the closure piece as well. So I took a strip of Tangerine Tango cardstock, and I just measured it to be the 19.3 width, which was the same as the full width of cardstock before we started scoring our box together. So I've just cut that, and I've cut it to 3 centimeters wide, and I'm just going to feed the end into my 1 3/8 of an inch circle punch. So I'm just turning the punch over, and I'm just popping the cardstock into the little notch here. If I can get it in. It doesn't want to work for me now, having just done it 2 minutes ago. There we go. So you just pop it in the end here and try and make it even on each side. Line it up square, punch. And then I'm just going to do the exact same thing on the other end of my strip of cardstock as well. Lining it up about square. And so I've now got this nice rounded ends to my cardstock strip. So now what I can do is I can adhere this along the back of my box here, and I just go down just a wee way from the top of the box. So we're just going to adhere that on, and I'm just going to use a little bit of tear and tape for that as well. And I'm just going to make sure that it's adhered really nice and strongly. I'm just going to add 2 strips of my tear and tape. Now one step that you may want to do before you adhere this to your box is you're just going to put a little hole punch in each end Now you can take a ruler and a pencil and mark it and measure it if you want. I prefer just to eyeball it about centre and in just under a centimetre. So I'm going to adhere this to my box. And I'm just going to adhere this so that it's about even either side, which should be about 3 centimetres. If you've done your measuring correctly, it'll be about 3 centimetres. And then you can just fold these around and score with your fingers like so. Okay, so now in these little bits I'm going to use some of my linen thread, and I just happen to have already cut some pieces here. So I'm just folding my linen thread in half to create a loop and threading it through my hole and tucking the ends through like so, and I'm going to do the same on the other end. Like so. And then I can just bring these to the front of my box and tie them into a bow, or you could attach a little embellishment on the front and wrap the linen thread around that to hold it close. Whichever way you like. I could have done that a little tighter obviously to keep it in nice and tight, but that is our finished box all completed. Now a couple of options for you. If you didn't want to do this kind of closure on it, then you can of course leave it without a closure, and in that case if you wanted to, you could cut this down on an angle so that it closes down on an angle here. And another option that you can do to make it easier to get your gift cards in and out is that you can of course also punch a little notch in the front of your box here that allows the cards to be taken in and out a little easier. So there you go, that is this month's flip top box with closure tabs. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next month. Bye.